I was recently reading my friend's book, this pocket guide to Sergers. Suki sent me this one. See, she left a little cute note on there. But what's funny is that when I got to page 25 of this little pocket guide, it triggered one of the biggest memories, the biggest Serger fail memory that I have. And it's funny that I didn't really think about it until after I was reading her book with all of her tips and tricks. And by the way, I'm going to let you know how to win your own book. So stay tuned for that. But first, it's story time. So imagine this. After being inspired by my athletic wear sewing idol, Johanna from The Last Stitch, I just knew that I was going to be the next athleisure sewing queen, right? I was gun-ho that I was going to be able to create my own exercise gear to wear. I mean, watching her, I was just like, wait a second. You mean that I can sew entire garments using just my serger? I don't have to go on my sewing machine and then finish the edges on my serger? I'm in. I am so in for this zippy little process. Yes, please. I was excited to make exercise clothing like Johanna. So I went and I ordered one on Amazon, and a couple days later, my new serger arrived in the mail. So I started setting it up. I'm looking at the manual. I've got this, right? Something clearly wasn't right. I mean, for some reason, I could not get the fabric that I was serging to actually stay together. I checked my needles. I replaced the needles on my brand new machine. I didn't get it. I even rethreaded my machine hundreds of times, it seems, and still my fabrics were just pulling apart at the seams. There's no way that I was going to wear a pair of me-made tights that don't hold together. I mean, could you imagine doing a squat at the gym and boop? all of a sudden you have a hole in the seam of your butt? I have enough wardrobe mishaps that happen. I don't need to add this to the list, right? So for about 3 years, I basically used my serger to do nothing but finish seams. I mean, it was the only thing I used my serger for. At least I could get a nice seam out of it, right? Well, one day I saw someone threading their serger machine on YouTube, and she was like really holding those threads tight and pulling them up, and I thought, really? Why is she doing that? And then they mentioned something about a tension disc. I had no idea there were like little discs that you had to make sure that your string got into behind all of those knobs. So when I was sitting there threading my machine the 101 times, I was just like, do, a thread here, a thread there. We're good to go, right? No, not quite, because none of my threads were in the tension discs. But as soon as I figured that out, I was good to go. All of a sudden, I was sewing my seams just like Johanna from The Last Stitch. I mean, I was sitting there like, look, Ma, I could do squats without splitting a seam. I can't believe that it took me 3 years to figure that little thing out. And it's funny that memory was actually triggered by this little book. And honestly, it's one of the things that I had wished that I had known earlier, you know? I was so frustrated by that process. And then I read about it in this little teeny tiny book, and I'm like, I could have used this. I could have used this years ago. So listen, you all, this little serger book is good. And if you want to get your hands on a free copy, Suki is actually going to be giving away 12 copies of this book. And one of you all will be getting one. So make sure that you go down into the description box of this video and click on the link so that way you can enter in to get a free pocketbook. And by the way, I have 2, right? So here's your second opportunity to get a free one. Go down into the comments right down there and give me your funniest Serger story. I want to hear all about it. I want to hear about your Serger fail stories. And my favorite one, it will get a Serger book. It's that easy. So you have 2 opportunities to get your hands on a free book. Check the description down below and enter to win one of 12. And then leave me a comment with your best Serger fail story. All of the winners will be announced on February 5th. So what's your Serger fail story?